In April 2017, the police and anti-fraud authorities arrested Sagar Thakkar, then only 24 years old, in Mumbai after he had returned from Dubai that past Saturday. The investigators assigned to the case later told the media that he was the mastermind of IRS fraudulent call centers that had tormented unexpecting American citizens, demanding them to pay either fines or overdue taxes, as his cronies pretended to be the tax authorities of the United States. The police went on to add that Thakkar will be charged with crimes of extortion, cheating, impersonation, criminal conspiracy, and violating India's communication and technology laws. The first alert of his connection between one of the most popular scam call infrastructure and Thakkar emerged that previous October, when the Indian authorities successfully raided several call centers, ate in Thane, and arrested more than 70 people on suspicion of impersonating IRS employees, with the main objective to scam and steal money from US citizens. The strategy Thakkar and his minions used was the following. The scammers would practice for hours American accents that they would then use to impersonate IRS employees, with the main objective of extracting money from the people who picked up the phone. They told their victims that they owed back taxes in thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, and that were they to even think of hanging up or refusing to pay, they would be detained and sent to prison. After Thakkar's arrest, a multitude of his co-conspirators were also brought to justice, where they were accused by both the Indian and American authorities of stealing from 15,000 people using the IRS scam and other fraudulent strategies. Every year, millions of American and other citizens lose billions of dollars to scams such as these ones, and this business keeps growing. Complaints to the police about scam calls have risen consistently, as have the actual reported crimes committed against citizens. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, the aggregated losses reported by scam victims increased to $3.5 billion in 2019, from $1.4 billion in 2017. In a poll commissioned by the app Truecaller, which asked around 2,000 American adults about their experience with scam calls, it found that 22% of the interviewed Americans said they had lost money to a phone scam in the past 12 months. Truecaller projects that as many as 56 million Americans may have been victims of such scams, losing close to $20 billion. Welcome to Rebel Economics. Today we will look at the dark world of scam calls, how they work, how they recruit people, and how they manage to protect themselves from the law. First of all, let's talk business. To a certain degree, these scam centers work relatively similar to how other companies might operate. They have an influx of capital, a large sales force or scam force, and other operating expenses like rent, telecommunication costs, and so on. Some of them even have an accounting and legal department. Yes, a legal department. The way that they are structured largely depends on how big the organization is. A single figurehead like Thakkar might control several call centers in different cities, each stuffed to the brim with tens or even hundreds of scammers whose only purpose it is to call unexpected citizens in rich countries like the United States, Canada, or the European Union. A tremendous amount of these scam call centers are based in India for several reasons. Even in non-scam related call center work, India is considered to be an attractive talent pool for American and British companies. The reason behind it tend to be the large pool of extremely tech-savvy and well-qualified professionals who speak English and companies who can benefit from the wage difference that exists between their countries overall, resulting in lower labor costs. Much of the same forces are at play when asking why India is the hub of phone call scams. The large labor pool of English speakers is of paramount importance to establish a rapport and be able to communicate the conditions of the scam to victims. The tech skills are put to use in methods like offering convincing mock-ups of bank accounts with an overdraft or workable prototypes of fake official-looking websites. Also, the economic realities of the country might push some desperate workers to engage in these activities to be able to afford living in large cities like Mumbai. These working-class men and women might not take pride in their work, but if it helps pay the bills, they will do it. These scammers are employed to perform constant calls to victims and arguing some bogus claim about overdue interest payments or unpaid for taxes. seek to force the person at the other end of the line to send money in strange and, in hindsight, downright bizarre methods, like Amazon or Google Play gift cards, a money transfer via Western Union, or the even classic cash in an envelope. The kind of people that may fall for these traps are not necessarily overly gullible or ignorant. Some of these scammers have perfected the art of impersonating figures of authority and weaponizing most people's natural acceptance of their opinion. In reality, considering oneself to be above falling into those traps might be the first step toward being scammed. Once the scammers have received the money, it is gathered by the head of the operation, who distributes only a small portion of those earnings as salaries and bonuses to the scammers. However, the true darkness at the core of this industry extends far beyond the illegality of the scams and the way they destroy the lives of their victims. In an article published by First Orient, 2 reporters flew to India and tried to infiltrate a call center they suspected to be hosting a scam operation. What they discovered only shows the length to which the heads of these modern mafias will go to test their loyalties and remain in control. The first step to even get an interview was to call a number, waiting for the tone, and then hang up. Afterwards, they received an SMS on the phone they had called with the interview location details. After going to the interview, the scammer's equivalent to the HR department asked for a security payment to be deposited in cash for the secret reporters to be hired. This was supposed to serve as a sort of collateral were they not to do their job correctly. However, theirs was one of the lucky and straightforward experiences. In interviews conducted with ex-scammers, truly horrible stories were told. One of the scammers had his ID, passport, and other fundamental documents retained by his employer as a method of guaranteeing loyalty until he had worked there for over 30 days. The question, however, remains: if the conditions are so terrible and there are actual crimes woven into the fabric of their operations, why don't disgruntled and abused workers go to the police? The answer is corruption. We have done a full video about the impact of corruption on an economy. Go check it out if you're interested. In this case, scam companies engage in corruption due to the second alleged destination of part of those illegal revenues that scam organizers collect: the pockets of the law. According to some of the scammers interviewed in the article by First Orient, the authorities are receiving kickbacks from the scam operations to look the other way and ignore any complaints or criminal charges brought by citizens either affected by the calls or by the working abuse that some scammers experience. Essentially, if you go to the police, especially in a big city, and try to turn the company in, the cops will let the scammers know so that they can deal with you in as brutal a way as they deem necessary. These scam operations can make hundreds of thousands of dollars every day, so they're incredibly incentivized to keep their operation hush-hush. Most people might know about them or have had a bad experience on either side of the phone with these call centers, but that is the power of an open secret. It is not ignorance of it that keeps you quiet, it is fear. Thank you for watching Rebel Economics. People close to me have been affected by this plague of scam calls, and I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is to have to confirm to them what they already suspect after the scammers have had their way with them. So it's good to talk about how these companies work from a business and operational perspective, so maybe fewer and fewer people are caught in their lies, but also to understand that the people who work there are in a way victims themselves. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. We have a lot of similar content coming up. If you want some more depressing business practices, have a look at our Amazon video about how the giant retailer abuses the small sellers on their platform. Or in case you need a palate cleanser after all the sad news, check out our video about what it takes to break down a monopoly. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.